This is the plaintiff, Mary. She says she hired the defendant to train her 2 dogs, and when she got them back, they had burn marks on them, and one of them had a gash on his eye and the other had a hole in his head. If that weren't bad enough, they came back with worms, and they weren't trained at all. This guy zapped her dogs with an electric wand. The vet said they were severely dehydrated. They had diarrhea, and he abused these poor animals while they were in his care, and she filed a police report. She's here suing for animal lovers everywhere and wants every penny of the $3,327.54 she's owed. This is the defendant, Steve. He says the plaintiff is a scammer, first and foremost, because she tried to get him to file a false claim with her insurance carrier so they'd cover dog training. The reason she sent her dogs to him was because they fought and she needed them to get along. That's why they had a few cuts on them. He's been training dogs for 15 years. He knows what he's doing, and this woman is just plain loony. He's accused of a doggone disaster.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff hired the defendant to train her 2 dogs and says the defendant abused them. But the defendant says the dogs had cuts because 2 of them fought. It's the case of Dog Fight Club.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Okay, Mary, you are suing. You've asked to be referred to only by your first name, Steve, and not to mention your company name. So you're suing Steve's company for $3,327.57. The cost of training that you want returned to you, because according to you, he did not successfully train your dogs, and also vet bills, because according to you, more than that, he injured your dogs. Tell me what happened.
Well, I met a guy in the dog park, and he said that this guy trained his dogs. And I called him. I was desperate. I'm disabled. I have nerve pain go down my arm. I can't. I've trained all my dogs. I've had dogs, Border Collies, Australian Shepherds. Never had a problem with any of my dogs. This dog happens to have a lot of energy.
Which dog?
The puppy is on the right.
Okay.
That's Jack.
Okay.
So I hired this guy in good faith. I thought he knew what he was doing because they said he worked with police dogs and he did all this great stuff.
Who's they that said that?
Well, the
person who recommended
the
it?
person in the dog park.
Okay. Do you work with police dogs?
Some, yes.
What does some mean?
I don't do it anymore. I used to head a police dog facility in Indiana called Landheim.
Okay. Go ahead.
It's on the internet that that's not true also.
How
But-
do you know that's not true?
Well, I don't know. It's on the internet that he's a scammer and all this stuff.
No, I see that there was a complaint on the internet. How do you know that he did not was not the
No,
head
I don't
trainer?
know. Only
Okay.
what I read
All
on
right,
the internet.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So I didn't want to, my dogs are like my kids. I don't have kids. So I didn't want to send my dog anywhere. So, but I couldn't handle him. So I sent them. This guy had separation anxiety really bad. So he was getting better. I rescued him. I have him for about a year and a half before Steve took him. And
Are we talking about the puppy or the other dog?
the other guy, Duke.
Okay.
Sorry.
But you sent both dogs to be trained.
I'm explaining why I sent Duke, because he had the separation anxiety. And I have texts and stuff that he says that.
According to you, she sent the dogs to you. Why?
Well, it was for full obedience training and fixing the separation anxiety, like she says, and for fixing them from fighting with each other from time to time.
Okay. Well, how big a part of that was the fighting with each other time to time?
That wasn't a big part of it. That was just part of it that happened.
All right. And according to you, she wanted you to author something that was false in order for, what's that about?
I don't know if it was false per se, but she wanted me to get in contact with her insurance company so that she could get covered, do her insurance coverage.
And do what? What were you going to say or do?
Prove that the dog had separation anxiety so that the insurance would cover the cost of training.
So why is that a scam? I thought you said that was true, that her dog had separation anxiety.
Well, it doesn't exist in dogs, but...
It doesn't exist in dogs?
No.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
See, my dog, I come home from a hard day's work and that dog looks like she missed me.
They do, but how can an animal that live in the moment have separation anxiety?
I don't know. But in any event, what happens here? You, how long were the dogs supposed to be with him?
1 month.
So for 1 month, the dogs are supposed to stay with him. And how much, do you have a contract?
I have a so-called contract that was never signed or anything.
Let me see the contract that you received.
You want to look through these?
No, his hands are full. How's he going to do that one-handed? He's holding 2 dogs. Do me a favor. Take the papers back from him. Don't put him in that position.
Okay.
You all right doing that?
Yeah, all right.
He found it. Yeah, apparently he's just fine doing
Obviously,
it.
yes.
I guess I'm a little nervous. Sorry, Bill.
Provider will train client for dog's behavior modification, blah, 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 and dogs for behavior modification, and on-off leash basic commands such as sit, down, come, stay, heel, leave it, place, and cage. All right, so the dogs get to you on what day?
I don't remember the exact date.
Do you?
The 10th of,
The 10th of February, yes.
February?
Yes.
All right, and then the cost of the training is $2,650?
Yes.
All right, so the dogs come, and how does it go?
Well, I had the dogs for 4 weeks, which I explained to her when I pick up the dogs that it could take longer if I need more time because I haven't got there. They freaked out on me over 3 days. I had to make a trip to Philadelphia to deliver a rescue dog that was getting a new home. And they were upset about that and continued to bash me and batter me on my cell phone, text calls, asking all these questions about getting the dogs. I told her she had to wait.
Yeah, but that's wait 3 days because of training, not wait 3 days because you planned something else and we're out of town.
Well, it was my schedule. I try to schedule because they're an hour away from me. I try to schedule my appointments in that area all the same day. So I was dropping their dogs off and doing a few other training lessons in their area.
Okay, I would be mad at you too. If you were just trying to save yourself effort and wait, oh, it's convenient for me to drop the dogs off. When I've been away from my dogs for a month, I would want you to just stick to the program as opposed to, hey, it doesn't work around my schedule until another 3 days from now. I don't get to see my dog. I mean, I get that. But tell me how the training, what I really meant to ask you is during those 4 weeks, how did the training go?
The training went well with the dogs. When she first met me, she knew that I use remote collar training systems.
Tell me what remote collar training system is.
It's, for lack of a better word, electric.
Okay, so
the-
shock collars.
Yes, the dogs are trained for several weeks before
I'll
they...
tell you what, let's do this. Why don't you go ahead and sit next to her so she can be closer?
It's okay, Jeff.
Okay. 'Cause-
With her health issues that she described to me, she's not able to physically have control over these animals. So that's really the best way to go when you have a situation like that. They're trained for several weeks, then they're trained on that system at a low level stimulation, so it's not hurting them, it's more communicating with them. Say the dog's not paying attention, she taps the button, the dog knows to look at her, he's not screaming, he's not freaking out, it's not doing anything along those lines.
According to you, one of the dogs comes back with burn marks around the collar.
Well, they both did, but Jack had not as bad. But this was the
Show
whole thing.
me Duke's, show me the burn marks around their necks. You have pictures of it?
No, I only have the letter from the vet and the new trainer that came and felt it. That's all I have. You can't, unless I would have shaved his neck and took a picture. That's the
Oh,
only way.
you can lift the hair. I do these cases every day. I mean, you
it was. He felt it himself, so he apologized to me the day he came back.
Okay, what did he feel?
2 burn marks on his neck.
How do you feel the burn mark? Like,
Well, they're raised. It's like a scab under there.
Like a scab, okay.
Yeah.
all right, so
He happens to have a lot of hair around his
yeah.
neck.
Okay. So by the end of the 4 weeks and 3 days, were they responding to your commands?
Yes,
Okay.
they were both doing very well in the training with me.
Had they fought at all amongst?
Yes,
Okay.
they did fight a few times while they were with me.
Did you ever alert her to the fact that they had
No,
fought?
because it was just tiny little scruffles that never resulted in anything. One of them had a small, like, tiny minuscule scratch under his eye, which she noticed in a picture, asked me what happened. I explained to her what happened. At that time, she tells me her dog doesn't fight. The younger puppy has white marks all over his face before he came to me. Those are from scars that have healed up.
When she said, my dogs don't fight, didn't you say, what do you mean your dogs don't fight?
Yes.
You told me they fought.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And they actually, when I came back to do the first follow-up lesson, they got in a fight at the door when I walked in the house. It's usually over excitement. It's usually the older dog correcting the younger dog, which that was something I was supposed to be working on. So I brought the dogs home to her. She was upset that the dogs didn't greet her in the way that she wanted.
How did she want them to greet her?
Be excited to see her. You know, they came in, one of them ran to the dog bowl because there was food in there and she ate them. I had not fed them that morning because I was bringing them home.
Why can't you feed them?
What's that?
Why can't you feed them anyway? If you
When I'm bringing them home,
Oh.
that's just, I don't do it for the car ride so they don't get sick
Oh,
and,
yeah.
you know, throw up in the car.
Okay.
So after I brought the dogs home, it was pretty much at that point, there was nothing I could say or do to make her happy. I wasn't even allowed to show her the training with the dogs. The dog jumped on the couch, which is something they didn't want them to do. I pressed the button on the remote. They came down. She said, I was trying to show her how to use that. We were able to go outside and walk the dogs and show her how to do that, but it was just arguing and telling me the dogs weren't trained, they weren't listening, this and that. I never got a chance to go over because they wouldn't let me talk. She was just freaking out about all kinds of little things with the dogs.
How long ago was all this training?
February 10th was
So
when
it
I
went
got
up
them.
until March
March 10th.
10th?
Yes. But if they go home and you don't do any work with them, they're going to go right back to the same way because I train them and she has to follow through. That's why I do follow-up lessons after they come home.
So you went to one follow-up lesson.
I went to one follow-up lesson. I brought a friend with me because I knew that it was going to be a problem situation. I wanted someone there to help diffuse the situation. And from the moment I walked in the door, they were just on me, being belligerent, yelling at me, accusing me of things, threatening me. They threw my friend out of the house that was there because she asked her what she thought, and my friend told her that the dogs are acting this way because of her. And I couldn't do training with the dogs.
Yeah, I'd throw her out of my house too.
I couldn't do, well, she asked for her opinion. Why do you think my dogs are acting this way?
Why can't your friend be polite when she's in someone's house?
She was polite. She was polite. She was there just being quiet.
There are ways to say that don't sound like what you said. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, so I informed her at the time that I wasn't going to be able to do training that day because of the attitude of them in the air, me in the air, the way that the dogs were behaving, because they were very nervous because of all the yelling and screaming. So I told her that I was going to leave and get in touch with her in a few days and come back and do a follow-up lesson once everyone was calmed down, which I believe I canceled a few days later because of the snow. We had weather that wasn't able to drive that far in. Then after that, I sent her a text message asking her what day she was able to do the training, and I didn't hear back from her since then.
All right. In any event, you get the dogs back, and what is it you notice that makes you say, what the heck?
The puppy goes right to the water bowl. There was not food in the dish because
There was a
water.
sweet potato in there.
And the puppy drinks the whole bowl of water. I fill the bowl up again. The puppy drinks the whole bowl of water. 4 bowls, and I'm talking about it probably equals a gallon of water.
Okay, can we talk about the training, though? Because you're suing to get the training
so
money
the
back.
dog just pees in front of this guy that's here, and the 2 dogs are hugging each other like this, and they're both leaning on me, hugging me. And I'm like, what's the matter with these dogs? Like, they weren't like this. Like, they were so distraught. So I said, all right, show me how you taught the puppy how to walk, because that was my main concern. Duke walked on the leash fine already. So we go outside. He's got the shock collar on him, and the puppy's walking like this. He just had them for a month. The puppy should know how to walk. They're Australian Shepherds. They're a smart breed. They learn fast. So my husband says, what are you, shocking him? So he's zapping the puppy while he's walking. But the puppy's still all over like this. So then the puppy does diarrhea. I said, let me pick this up. My dog don't have diarrhea. I said, why does the dog have diarrhea? Did you change their food? What'd you do? So he says, no, he don't have diarrhea. Maybe he's just nervous because he's home. Why would a dog be nervous when they come home? They're happy to see you when they came home.
Maybe.
I
don't know. I don't know what your home's like. I have no idea.
It was a stressful environment. We were arguing.
Maybe they're stressed because maybe they have performance anxiety. I don't know.
So the defendant is saying dogs cannot have separation anxiety because they only live in the present, meaning no memory. You buying it?
Not at all. You know, dogs, they know us. When we come home, they're so excited to see you every single time.
So they remember you.
Of course they do.
Okay, what do you say?
I agree. I think that dogs grow an attachment to humans, and they sense people as well.
Do you believe dogs only live in the present, that they have no memory?
No, I think they definitely remember stuff.
Okay, I do too, by the way. Going inside the courtroom.
When he leaves.
Then he leaves, he makes another appointment. He cancels that appointment is the way it went. And then he comes with this big chick, I guess, to intimidate me. I don't know. So she says, so she's standing there, and I'm like, my business is with him. I said, I have, a problem. I said, the dog's got burn marks on his neck. I'm like, feel the dog's neck. So he goes, no, that's all right. No, I said, feel the dog's neck. You burned his neck. I want you to feel it. So he felt the neck, and he said, I'm really sorry about that. But I sent my dogs away to a professional that was going to know what
you knew he was going to use a shock collar, though.
I didn't say I didn't know that.
Right.
He said,
but now I'm asking
did you
know? Stop. Did you know he was going to use a shock collar?
He said if he had to.
Right.
These are smart dogs, and I really didn't think he had to. In the text, I say, did you have to use the shock collar yet? And he says, yes. So I'm like, they needed the shock. Then there was phone calls. They needed the shock collar. So he left. I took them straight to the vet. If you come look at the puppy's face, his whole face has a whole bunch of white scars.
Let me
More
see the
than he
vet
had.
bill of $284.38 that you're suing for.
The day he came back.
Can
and
I see the vet bill of
Oh, yeah.
$284.38? You acknowledge that you may have lost and that you didn't return a collar, ID tags,
Yes.
and a harness, correct?
Yes, I lost those things.
And why is it that he should pay for, is it called Giardia? Is that what it's called?
My dogs didn't have worms before they left.
Yeah, but your dog could get worms anywhere. Why would it have to have been?
Well, I checked them before they left, and
I mean, if they got it from another dog or whatever, that's kind of a risk that everybody assumes, okay? You are certainly entitled to the collars, the ID tags, and the harness, and then the bulk of your lawsuit is the cost of the training. Perhaps you're not as vigilant in training as you should be with these particular dogs. I also think that when somebody pays you $2,650 for you to take them for a month, they should come back pretty well trained. I am going to order the return of $2,650, the cost of training. I don't think the dogs got successfully trained, and that's kind of how your contract reads. And I'm also going to order the collar and the tags and the harness for a sum total judgment in favor of the plaintiff in the amount of $2,710. I have finally tired out the dogs to the point where they're just, I don't want to hear anymore, I'm just getting horizontal. In any event, good luck, folks.
So as you heard, the judge has ordered the plaintiff to get $2,710 from you. That includes your whole training fee, the $2,650.
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
Not happy about it. She didn't put in the work that she needed to show that training to keep going, so.
Are they trainable, those
Yes,
dogs?
absolutely.
You think if she'd have kept it up, they'd have been?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, good enough. Sorry about it. Okay. If you'll step out here. I'm doing all right. I guess you're not very happy, are you?
no, because all he did was keep my dogs in mud. This white dog underneath is all white.
Yeah.
Was a brown color for 6 baths.
Okay, all right.
He abused them.
We didn't hear anything from you. What do you have to say
about
about
selecting another trainer because of what we
We're
went through with
afraid.
this guy?
Yeah.
You're
So-
afraid to now? Yeah.
No, not afraid to, but being very selective to make sure we're getting one that's
Yeah,
going
all
to do what we're paying
The
him for.
dog had
So you're going to send them away for
that
another
they got
month
from
again?
his house.
If you have to?
No, this is come to the house.
You won't do that. Do it at your house.
This is
No,
come to
we
the
missed
house
them
training.
so much.
And you work up with them. Okay. Well, they look like sweet dogs, so good luck with them, okay?
They're not going after you.
No, thank goodness. I'm glad they're not going after me. I've been there before. Harvey?
Okay, Doug, well, look, in a way, this contract was a guarantee that the dogs would be trained. If all it said was, look, we'll use our best efforts to train the dog, I think you'd have a different result. But this was a guarantee.